Sahana vavatu, sahano punaktu, sahaviryam karavavahe, tejasvinavadidamastu, ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Namaste and welcome to the Spiritual Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Savitri Amba. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a Reiki master, Vedic healing priestess, and spiritual guide. I've been practicing this work for 36 years now and have had the beautiful fortune of studying with amazing spiritual mentors and blessed Indian gurus in India through my travels and work. So this podcast episode is a little bit different because I'm recording it as a short episode that has developed through my meditation, but is relatively unplanned. So many times when I record these episodes, I receive a download, a transmission, an inspiration in meditation. I take notes. I plan it out as the good English teacher that I used to be, and I organize it. But I thought I would do some episodes that are purely spontaneous. And so I am going to ask the listener to bear with me because this will be quite organic and very natural. So in my classes and work in the world, I try to be as real as possible. And I think that's such a beautiful aspiration for all of us. So many times we put on airs or we act a way we think we're supposed to act. And even when I started recording these podcast episodes, again, I receive a general idea in meditation. I write out what I'm inspired to speak about, and then later on, I kind of organize it into points that I will speak on. But I thought today I wanted to do something that is purely spontaneous and see how that goes and see how it lands with people, and hopefully it will inspire you. So the topic that has come to me very clearly this morning in meditation, I'm going to name something like this, and again, it's still evolving. It's still coming forth from the ethers, as all of our ideas do. And by the way, this is really how we channel information, how an artist channels. It's all receiving inspiration from a divine source. When we are quiet enough to hear this inspiration, we produce really beautiful work in the world. So the topic is bravery and the spiritual path. What came to me very clearly is that sometimes people feel exposed. And I'm going to explain what I mean by this, because we live in a society where other people tend to sometimes display energies of competition, of jealousy, and kind of negative emotions, although I never really like to say negative. But, they're emotions that we don't really aspire to. They're things that don't really feel right in us. And we're always trying to course correct and get onto a path of light and love and just honoring of ourselves and others. So very often we come across these influences that are not so favorable, and they cause us to shut down And when we start to display maybe our truth in the world, we might start to feel exposed. And I'm going to venture to say that feeling of feeling exposed, being very vulnerable, is simply a reaction to the fear, the dangers we know exist in the world. But when you step into your spiritual work, your light again, because this light exists when we come into the body and then we start to slowly shut it down based on what we're perceiving around us, which may not be also beautiful. We start to become unafraid to be who we are in the world. So let that kind of sit in your energy field. Being unafraid to be who you are in the world. And this simply means being brave enough to speak your truth, to act in a way that is in alignment with who you are, what you've come to do, what you've learned. And again, oh, and I said this in the last episode, not apologize. Now, this doesn't mean we never say we're sorry, but it means not apologizing for who we are as beings. So always there are going to be other people whom you offend or who may, of course, misinterpret your light or your displaying of who you are. And it can be out of fear, panic, stress, jealousy, competition, misunderstanding that others display these emotions. And we feel them as spiritual beings and as empaths, certainly, we feel them. We feel this energy coming towards us, and it causes us to shut down. But I'm going to urge you in this new year, because we're still in January, to step bravely into the world in whatever way that means for you. And understanding that when you do this, you may feel exposed. It catches me in the throat when I say this. So it makes me very sad. So you may feel exposed and vulnerable, but in that vulnerability, there is power, there is truth, there is great truth in being just who you are, in being, standing in your light, in your presence, no matter what is occurring around you. And so I've said this many times that the spiritual practice is giving us not only a connection to the divine, and that is really the ultimate goal, but I want to talk about the nuances of that, because what that gives us. Why do we want to connect with the divine? Who said we need to do that? Well, in creating that connection to the divine, you start to feel balance, power, focus, bliss, peace. And when you are feeling all these beautiful emotions, there is a certain presence that cannot be disturbed. I was looking for the right word. It cannot be disturbed. So no matter what is occurring outside of you, you are still inside. And this is when you know your meditation, your yoga, your chanting, your Reiki, all of it, your pranayama is working. There is a lack of disturbance inside, inside your being. And so connecting with the divine, connecting with light, connecting with energy in the cosmos means you are reconnecting with the light within you. Remember, and I've said this many times, we are made in the image and likeness of the divine. So in connecting with the divine, you are reconnecting with that light within you. I believe in one of these episodes, I chanted a Hum Brahmasmi, and it's a beautiful chant that says, I am God, I am source energy, I am Brahma. So Aham Brahmasmi. And we chant this over and over. And even if you don't chant it over and over, maybe you want to take it with you and remember it. Aham Brahmasmi. You are claiming your light again. It's something we have, all of us have squelched. You see it very, very clearly in children because they are so self-expressed naturally. And that is our innate state. So when you move into spiritual practices, you reconnect with this light and you learn that this light has never left you, will never leave you, and will always sustain you no matter what is occurring. So I hope this helped you today. It was absolutely, completely spontaneous. And I probably need a sip of water, which I don't have around me, so my voice is a little gravelly, and I apologize for that. But I hope you have taken away something from this, and it has inspired you. And again, it gets me caught in the throat because all the emotion comes up in me as I speak this to you. I hope that it has inspired you to be brave in the world, to never feel that you are exposed. That feeling of oh, I'm exposed is really just that you have now expressed your truth. And there is a fear behind it. It can be a long-standing fear. How is that going to land in the world? Well, you know what? That is going to land however it needs to. And here's the amazing thing. It needs to land. See, it needs to be expressed in the world. So if you are walking this path and attempting to share your wisdom, your brilliance, your light, your gifts, then I want to encourage you to take that task very seriously this year and know that as you do this, you become a child again. That my guru used to say that be like a child. He used to say this, be like a child at the feet of the divine. And what he meant was being so exuberant, so open, so full, so excited, so bright that you can only but interact with the divine wisdom. There's nothing standing in between. There's no barrier. There's no barrier to happiness, to bliss, because again, when you are interacting with the divine energy, you are tapping into an extraordinary amount of bliss. And this bliss can sustain you. I remember once, I just thought of this a long time ago, I went to see a spiritual teacher. Her name is Mata Amritananda Mai, and we know her in the West as Amachi. She's the hugging saint. I've seen her many, many times and been hugged many times and received extraordinary transmissions. I received Shaktipat from her many years ago, the first time I saw her, and was put into an altered state. And I'll talk about that another time. But I remember one time in particular, I was going to see her, and it was in Los Angeles. And I've also seen her in India at her ashram. But and while she's traveling throughout India, each time you are in the presence of a spiritual guru like this, it is extraordinary, just extraordinary. I can't even put it into words, and each experience is different. So even the locations are different because of all the people and different sights and sounds. So that's why I said I've seen her in different locations and had different experiences all the time. But in this particular instance, I was in Los Angeles, and I often would see Amma, as we call her affectionately, which is means like divine mother. I often would see her in the midst of my work. So I would be teaching Reiki or Feng Shui or Vedic healing, and I would say, oh, okay, Amachi's in town, so I'll block out a little bit of time on Thursday and a little bit of time on Friday, and then I will go to the ending event on Sunday night or whenever it was scheduled. But Amachi also has a when she visits, she'll be here for several days, and I never quite made time in my schedule to be fully immersed in that experience. It was always partial days. So this particular weekend, I decided I was going to forego everything in my life, and I'm looking at her picture as I speak, so forgive me if the emotion comes up. And I thought, I'm going to spend extended time in her presence and just immerse myself in this love. She is an ocean of love, an absolute ocean of love. And she has spent her life teaching about love, as Sri Satya Sai Baba also did. So this particular time, one of the days I was there for a long, long time, from the morning till the wee hours of the evening, because Amachi's events go very late and spill over into the hours of the evening. And many times people take breaks, they go to their car, they sleep, and yet Amachi is going. She is not taking a break. She is there, and she is hugging and giving darshan and extending blessings for many, many hours. And her strength is incredible. But of course, we know this strength comes from her connection to the divine energy, from her Shakti that has unfolded through her sadhana, through her spiritual practice, which she cultivated as a young girl when people thought she was crazy, sitting under a tree, chanting and singing and glorifying the divine. So this particular instance, I stayed for many, many hours, and I usually never took a break while I was there. I never even thought of going to my car and sleeping, but I found out later many people do that. And many people take hotel rooms at the venue, and so they can go rest in the hotel rooms. But instead I stayed in the energy. I stayed and stayed and stayed. And there is food also, beautiful food that they serve, blessed food, and the food is delicious. So I often enjoyed the food and the company of other spiritual practitioners and saw old friends. But this particular time, I found something really incredible happen to me. I didn't take any food. I had had a peach in the morning when I left my home. And again, forgive me. What I found was that okay. I said I wasn't stopping the recording. So, okay. What I found was that the Shakti was so incredible. I was, in essence, living off of it. I wasn't tired. I wasn't hungry. I didn't have a headache. I maybe had some water. I don't remember. And if you've ever had the experience of fasting, you will know this altered state. And I saw somebody later in the day, somebody I knew, maybe it was in the evening, and she asked me if I wanted to have some food. And I said, no, I'm okay. I'm good. And she asked me what I'd eaten. This is why I remember this. And I said, it was then that it dawned on me. I said, I only had a peach in the morning. And then I realized I had been so fed by the Shakti, by the energy, by the presence, by the divine light in that room, in that space generated from Amma, that I was complete. I was filled. So I'm telling you this because the connection that occurs between you and the divine, whether you're working with a guru, a mantra, your yoga asanas, the deeper levels of Reiki, the deeper levels of meditation, the connection that occurs is so incredible, so fulfilling, so sustaining that it animates everything you do. It satisfies you. It satiates you in a way that nothing can. There are yogis in India who have been studied by universities because they exist on very little food. There are breatharians who exist on breath. They're called breatharians. They exist just through their pranayama techniques and take sustenance from that chi, that energy that is gathered. I have had the good fortune of being in the presence of a teacher a long time ago. I sponsored for some events in Los Angeles. His name was Milk Baba, and his sadhana, his austerity was that he, as part of his sadhana, was that he had given up food and he existed on milk. And he was affectionately called Milk Baba. So I'm saying this to you to remind you that this connection to the divine is what sustains you, nourishes you, and fulfills you. And in that space, when you are consciously connecting and doing it on a daily basis, and I'm not suggesting you go through every day just eating a peach or just existing on pranayama, because we do have to do physical work in the world. And so food and water are indeed necessary. But I am suggesting that as you connect more with the divine, you find that the connection is so real, it even sometimes bypasses the need for other kinds of nourishment. And again, I'm not suggesting that you stop eating, but I am suggesting that this connection is quite real and it will animate you, sustain you, nourish you, fulfill you on deep, deep levels. And this will influence everything that you do, ultimately creating that bravery, that courage, that je ne sais quoi, that ability to just express yourself as light in the world. We're always trying to return to this connection, and you have only to look at a child and see how real that connection is as an inspiration to start tapping into it again. It's there, it's always been there, and it is for us to rediscover. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed this. Again, it was completely spontaneous, and I send you many blessings this year to move forward into the world in a way that is real, that is true to you, that is fully self-expressed, and know that however that lands in the world is fine. It's just fine. In fact, it's perfect. A child, remember, never censors his or her words. We learn later that we should in some ways, but a child never censors his words because he or she is moving from pure light. And so that truth, that honesty is so brilliant. And this is what we are attempting to remember and tap into. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Om Sai Ram. Jai Guruji. Om Amriteshwariye Namaha. Hare Krishna. Om Namah Shivaya.